Hi, this is Kevin, also known as AWOL, and welcome to yet another video. This time, we gave you guys the option to choose what I was going to do out of a pattern. I had made a tube bracelet prior, which was covered in like little figure eights, this one here. And then, the idea was I was going to take one of, I think it was 6 different patterns to try to figure out what to make for you guys, and pretty much most of the votes went for this one. A little bit odd to me because this was the easiest out of the different patterns, but right on. This is what I'm going to show you how to make here today, and maybe we'll go ahead and explore some of the other ones later on, but this is what you wanted, so let's get at it. Okay, so here we go. We are separating the red from the blue. There's 6 strands of the red and 6 of the blue. So basically creating a fade for both of those. And I am starting it off using the strands separately. Now, I know most of you probably realize I like to double up the string, but in this case, we are using each and every strand individually. Actually, that gives me an idea. I think maybe the next time we'll double it up and do 3 and 3, and we'll make it thick, but it'll end up being kind of maybe similar in size. We'll see. All right. So I separated the reds to the one side, the blues to the other, and getting it started off as I do all my bracelets, with that really nice crisp kind of start that I do there, right? Now, since the pattern you guys chose was to do little blocks, 3 going one way, 3 going the other. So you can see I take the first 3 red, come down, and that makes that one little tiny square. Then I'll take the blue and go over top of that red. Pretty simple. Obviously I started with the darkest at the top with both of the colors, both the red and the blue, and then slowly worked my way down to the lightest. Now this one has a slight difference in what normally might happen with the tubes, and that's in order to keep the pattern actually working, is that last color coming in actually goes through its process, and it kind of makes a little tiny gap at the top when the two sides join, but that's to keep the reds where they are supposed to be and the blues where they're supposed to be, and it just really makes everything a whole lot easier. You'll see when I get the other piece together. But okay, so now we're getting the blues done, and what you're about to see here will happen through the whole rest of the bracelet. If you have a blue on the left and a blue on the right, then obviously the only thing you should be doing is the red. And then when you get this other piece together, you'll see that you'll end up with 2 reds on either side. Then you know it has to be the blue. And this will make it so easy. There'll be no need for backing up or doing anything weird, because the pattern just repeats itself continuously. In fact, one of the big difference about making this as a tube versus making it as a flat is that in a flat you would have the colors reversing their orders after they bounced off the sides, but that won't happen here, because as a tube those continue just around and around and around indefinitely. So that's kind of a big change from what you might be actually used to. So here I'm going to make that same square that you see that was already done is going to happen here. And yes, you could actually change that. Maybe like change the sequence, like from instead of being dark to light, have made it light to dark, and that would have been interesting as an alternative. But this way I just basically create the tessellation again and again and again all the way down, and I think personally that works a whole lot better. I think that the brain likes to try to interpret where a pattern is coming from or how it's working. And I think we it's comforting, I guess, to kind of not have it overly complicated. I know that some of my patterns get really stupid complicated and people sort of lose interest in it. So can't say enough for kind of keeping it, simple like this. Plus, if I want to keep this as an intermediate tutorial, I guess I can't go too crazy, right? So this time it looks like what I did was I went to the left as opposed to doing the right hand side. That doesn't matter. As long as you're always working from the top and working down, it doesn't really matter. It all will come out in the end, so not a big deal there. Now I do the other blues. Darkest one first. This works itself down. So I know I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. This pattern was pretty darn easy. Out of all of the ones that you guys could have voted for, you guys really kind of made it easy on myself, but that's good. I guess that, that's where we are today, and then we'll progress together, do some of these other ones. But this one, actually, when I say it's easy, it's easier than actually doing a chevron. And I know that's going to sound crazy, right? But because a chevron to be one of the easiest bracelets we can make when it's flat. But when you make it a tube, what will happen is you have to keep turning the tube around and around and around, because you're starting from one side and going, a whole 180 to the other. So you have to keep moving it, and picking it up and giving it a turn, and then knotting some more and then turning it a bit more, that adds up to consuming a lot more of your time. Here you can, like right now, or as we join this together, you can see that a large portion of what needs to be done is all just facing us. And when we join it to the other side, that's what's going to be, the same thing's going to happen when we flip this around to the other side. So there's a whole lot less having to work out, the chopstick to hold this thing together on the clipboard. So it just becomes way less time consuming, way less. And that's a bonus. I mean, that's, so, and you can see, again, the same colors are still moving in the same direction. It's basically the same thing. I do know that this looks a little bit sloppy, and that is to do with this string. They're not, the strands themselves are not that consistent. That said, when I double it up, you can barely notice any difference. But when we do these single strands, you can really kind of tell. It kind of gives it that kind of wobbly effect. But it is what it is. I got the string really cheap. Thought it'd be kind of fun to try out what I could do with it and see what happens. And this is what happens, Mind you, I don't recommend necessarily going out and just willy-nilly buying whatever the cheapest string was. Back when I used to live in the Detroit area, I remember I bought some string, some embroidery floss over at Kmart. This is way long ago. This is like 87, 88. And the string there was like 10 cents a piece. So, of course I would, get lots. And the purple, it was a nice dark purple, bled out onto the white, and it absolutely ruined the bracelet. So if you're gonna go for this bargain deal, expect that things can go wrong, because there's a reason why you pay a premium for DMC. So, and that shows in this bracelet right here, right? So there you go, have it. All right, I flipped it around, joining the two sides together. It's not bad. See, and you can see, look, I'm not even with a chopstick in or anything, I can get a pretty decent little square down without having to shift it at all. So that's 9 knots just to do that first little square. And yeah, I can totally get the other bits in here as well. So this is that will actually save you a whole bunch of time. Now you could continually do these squares, this particular tessellation, the dark red and then the 2 blues and then the light red. But as I got kind of progressing along through it, I kind of discovered that I could kind of keep working it around and around. Like it'll should be able to see some of it. I didn't finish this whole thing in the room here where I could videotape it. I got about an hour or so into it and I was like, yeah, that's probably enough of that. But yeah, you'll see as it kind of comes along. So I'm just trying to take a look here. Yeah, so this video has all been sped up. I don't know if you can have realized that. I'm not that quick. I just realized that's sort of a pun. Anyways, yeah, so I reduced about an hour's worth of video down to this 25-minute segment. So yeah, that's yeah, I'm kind of glad for speeding these things up. I hope you guys don't mind it. I mean, honestly, I can't imagine trying to talk for a whole hour to explain, especially when it's an easy pattern like this. Oh, the really cool part. So I've already recorded the ending segment to this, but I'll say, might as well say it again. If you notice, all the strings are all getting an equal number of knots. See, there it is, the first 4 tessellations. Boom. Put the chopstick in. That also, the chopstick also helps when it comes to clipping it. That you can turn it just a smidge, just to, maybe a couple knots around. But what I was about to say is, all these strings are all getting the equal number of knots, so you actually require less string to actually make this thing happen. So as a result, I ended up having enough string to actually make kumi tails to it, so I think that's pretty awesome. I typically don't have that kind of string left over, and since it was these little single knots, and since it all balanced out really well, yeah, bonus to the winner for that one. So what else can I tell you about this? Oh, the clips. So unfortunately, the angle of the camera, trying to keep the string in here, you don't really see what the clip is. It's these really great big fat paper clips that are capable of going over the board and over the chopstick and the strings and stuff. If you're in Singapore, and I know there's a number of you that follow me here in Singapore, I just got myself a few of these over at Tokyo Hands. So they're about $5 and change, I think. If we converted that over to American money, I think it'd be like $4 or something. But they're really strong clips, and they're big enough to actually do their job really, really super well. So not that I'm really trying to endorse, the Tokyo Hands or anything, but if you're looking for these things, I can tell you, took me a while to find any, and now I'm kind of glad I did, because it's really coming in handy. Mind you, if you have like the old style of the clipboards where they have those big kind of clips on there already, you could use that. That would work out pretty easy as well, I suppose. So okay, you make the square, give it a turn, find the highest point, and do the same thing again. And yeah, I half expect to see some of this design in Instagram, and hey, by all means tag me, or yeah, probably tag me. I was gonna say use a hashtag, but I'm not really that inclined to actually go searching for stuff. I do look at a lot of bracelet designs, and some of them really inspire me. I've contacted a few of the various users and stuff and said, hey, mind if I use this? And typically most of the artists they're pretty cool about that. They, especially if I'm going to do a video or something, teach you guys how to do it. I want to give shout outs. I don't want the credit to not go to the person who came up with the design or whatever. So yeah, same thing's just gonna keep repeating itself here. I have to admit, as far as as far as the string goes, other than the fact that it doesn't stay consistent in its size, mind you, it had no numbers on it. There was no like, oh, I liked this color, I'll get more of that. That wasn't it. It was, you buy a bag of 50 skeins and get what you like, get what you receive and like it, kind of thing. So I suspect they might have actually have had strings from like different manufacturers, and maybe that's why the sizes were different. But other than that, like, I've rinsed out the colors and tried to see whether or not they were going to bleed. No trouble there. So I guess count your blessings where you can. I don't know. So that's the other thing. Yeah, after you finish making your bracelet, just give it a rinse. Wash the starches out. It'll feel so much softer. And you can even tell this. You can hold a bracelet that you just made out, and it will stand perfectly straight. After you've just rinsed it and let it dry, it'll flop right over like like a cloth of like a t-shirt or something. There's just it's the starches, really. Plus it also helps to get the knots to sort of fall into place. If there's they were a little bit loose here and a little tighter there, it all seems to balance itself out after it's been in the wash. So just another little tip, little idea I could recommend for you. Oh, one of the things you'll notice here too, and this kind of will give you an answer as to how I ended this. Since the reds are all going to one side and the blues are all going to the other side, if you let this come to a point, you will literally have all the reds on one side and the blues on the other. And that's what I did, so that when I turned them back into a kumi, I could have a red kumi and have a blue kumi. So yeah, I thought that was kind of neat. Plus, my wife used the same pattern for the kumi tails as she used for the kumi loop. So there's something for you to watch for in the end video there, because I think it looks pretty awesome like that. One of those little attention to details, you can go ahead and try that out for yourself and see how that works. So you can see now it's coming to a point. And again, you can see that I didn't have to actually do a whole lot of rotating here. Imagine if every single row you did, you had to keep rotating it 2-3 times. Yeah. No, this is definitely a nice, easy one. If you're trying to do a tube for the first time, I definitely recommend this pattern. Of course, you can try the other ones. If you're just noticing this on YouTube, go check out the website, AKAAWOL.com. This was under the Vote and Win. And yeah, take a look. I gave 6 different examples of how I could make a bracelet like this. and this is what everybody voted for. So there's, for 6 made, there's still 5 out there that nobody's actually seen physically done yet. And I guess that's something I could talk about. The fact that I had one idea, just one, but then realized that there was at least 5 other variables I could do to that one pattern. In fact, this wasn't even the first one I had thought of. The first one I thought of was like this big fat stripe that just went down twice in the whole bracelet. So basically, you would have had a primarily red bracelet with a nice big fat blue stripe coming straight down through it. And it would have been mildly challenging because you would have had to do a fair amount of rotating. Not horrible, but yeah, it would be a fair amount. And then I thought, oh, well, if I tried to put, something in between it, and then what if I did this, and what if I did that? So drawing out one design then led to, obviously, 5 more. Could I come up with additional ones? Absolutely. In fact, I do that a lot. I will try to see how many, pick a whatever kind of thing, 12 strands, tube, what other, restraints do I want on it? Do I want it to be 6 colors? How is that going to work? And find out how many different variations I can do. And I highly recommend this. It will teach you how to look at the patterns differently, how to come up with your own designs. There's a whole lot of benefit from it. Got one friend out there, played with this design for herself, came up with the idea that it didn't need as many colors, did it in just black and white. So now, basically, she has a checkerboard that she can wear on her wrist. I think that's awesome. That's brilliant. That's take the design, add your own twist to it. So that's absolutely brilliant. And if I could think of her Instagram tag, I would shout out to that. She can holler in the comments or something, because that was definitely a cool pattern she made. Yeah. So I think I got another 4 minutes or so of this. Again, it's really such an easy pattern. I can't seem to say that enough, but hopefully you guys get the gist. This is just, it's time consuming, right? I mean, the little segment that I did took me an hour to do. So yeah, it's totally time consuming. If you're looking for something faster, you're looking for something where you can produce more of them, so you can, produce bracelets for some corporate thing, and you need 100 of them, might not be the thing to make here. But if you've got some time, you want to make something that's really cool, yeah, this is definitely that. So, the choice in colors came down to what did I have a fade of that had at least 6 shades. So that's where the colors came from. It wasn't a deliberate attempt at like primaries or something. I was looking for a high contrast, and this worked out perfect for that. So that was the call as to why the colors were as they were. Yeah, you could do this with 6 colors, like say with a rainbow. You put the hot colors going one direction and the cold colors going the other. I think that would look pretty cool. You'll still get the same kind of a spiral effect, as well as you would get kind of a checkerboard effect because of how the hots would be alternating with the cold. So yeah, that would be an interesting look. Mind you, again, draw it out. I've got the graph paper on the website. Try it out, see what you come up with, and yeah, let me see what they turn out, that turns out or whatever for you, because yeah, I'm always open to seeing what kind of inspiration I provided for. That would be way cool. Oh, you can kind of see, yeah, like if you do that, you can just rotate it just a little bit, do a couple more squares, rotate a bit until you run to the end, and start back at the high point. Do that. That's a pretty speedy method for going through this. So yeah, if you have questions, anything, leave them in the comments. If you've got your own ideas of how you think that you might have done this better, faster, or different, leave that in the comments as well. I'm open. So, all right. So this is coming to the end of this portion, and I have to wrap it up. And yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I know I definitely enjoyed the bracelet. I'm definitely going to be happy that somebody will enjoy it as well. So, all right, there you have it. All right, so here we have it. This is our final product. You can see we had a really nice kumi to begin it off. We went into this little 4 square thing, and that just repeats itself, just tessellates all the way on down. And then so you guys voted for this, right? So seriously, you guys picked like the easiest pattern possible, and because it actually uses the string so evenly, I was left with really long pieces, so I decided to go ahead and kumi those off. Normally one strand or two is kind of shorter than the others, but this actually uses all the strings exactly the same. So you end up with, basically you have like a very obvious spiral going the one direction, right? The darks and the lights making a spiral. But then if you look the other direction, you also have a spiral going that way. And then straight up and down, you've got the reds making a straight row, and then the blues are making a straight row. So you have a whole lot of things all going on at once with the one pattern. And so I have to say this is totally a success. As it flattens out, it'll look a little bit more like this. So yeah, I think that's definitely something wearable. I think that the winner is going to be really pleased with the Tammy. So rock on. Congratulations to all the winners. Everybody who left a comment won. I think everybody but 2 of you have gotten a hold of me and gave me an address, so I'll be sending out everything here shortly. If you haven't gotten a hold of me, please do so. And until next time, don't get your strings in a bunch.